almost 5 years ago, I was at this amazing company, Flyins S, where we talked about Matsura, the investment of their first Matsura. As you can see, the blue continues to grow everywhere. But what happens when you have that much information, that many pallet changes, that much automation going into a cell? Well, we got Kyle here today because they recently invested in Datanomix so that we can all understand a little bit more about automation might be happening, but we have to know really the data and details, when it's running, how it's running, why did it go down, everything that goes into that. Kyle is the man. Mark threw him right under the bus so we could get started today. Kyle, thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Tony, glad to have you.
We always appreciate the bravery. Data is so very important. We're calling this the fourth industrial revolution. We utilize 4.0 technology, but I think we're beyond that at this point. Data is how we now, in my opinion, can go from surviving in manufacturing to thriving in manufacturing. What do you think about the importance of data?
I'm a nerd, right? I'm an engineer.
I'm a nerd too, buddy.
I love the data. I like seeing the graphs. I like all the data points. Some people care about certain data more than others. This started out as, hey, is this machine on and off? We got programmers, we got operators. Hey, is my machine still running? I hit go a long time ago, or I'm bouncing between machines. Am I having issues? So we like to see all that data. We also want to know, why are our machines stopped? They're not running. Is it because we don't have enough operators running between different machines in a certain cell? Is it because we're waiting on inspection times? Is it because, what are all these things that we can kind of improve upon instead of just taking people's word for it? Like, oh yeah, I feel like I've been having some issues with the bar feeder, or yeah, we keep having these robot issues, or I've been running that machine all day. What does that number actually equate to? And then how can we make that usable?
I find that all fascinating. I'm going to tell you a super quick story, Kyle. When I was in the machining world, I ran this thing that was kind of like an automated Six Sigma. And it allowed me to figure out where my bottlenecks were and where I could make adjustments. And was it in investing in a new machine? Was it in personnel? Was it something that I could just do better overall?
Mm-hmm.
And I apply that information to the conversation we're having right now because it seems like familiar ground. There are people out there who only want the on-off, the green, the red, right? Our buddy Peter, for example, is like, that's all I wanted. I hired Kyle because I think we can do more with Datanomix.
Yeah.
Our buddy Mark is an Excel wizard. He's very goal-oriented. He knows these are the goals we're trying to reach. But at the end of the day, it sounds like it's more about strategy, understanding why and where and how we can do the best for our machines and our people at the same time, especially in a world of high mix, low volume, where you could just constantly be running new jobs. Is it the CMM, or is it my machines? Is it my personnel? Are they taking breaks? Is it a Monday or a Friday? Is that a slow day mentally? You know what I mean? So
yep.
You're using it as a real strategy, right?
Yeah, right. We want to make a plan and then try to execute that plan. Inevitably, it's going to go a little wrong. And then we want to understand, well, how could we have tried to do that better? Or, we're in the middle of this run. How can we start improving that, making things faster? One of the first things we really love to see was the actual cycle time.
Yes.
As you may know, we use Mastercam here. It tells us a number. All the operators know that that's just kind of not quite right after you do all the things. How long does it actually take us to get our first part and then make the rest that we need to make? Are we spending a lot of time on these things? How can we make that better?
At the end of the day, when I hear that description, Kyle, I think this is probably better for my colleagues who are doing quoting. This is probably better for my customers who are expecting certain lead times and certain quality from their products to actually know the amount of time I'm truly investing, not the guess time, not the assumed time, not the theoretical time, but the actual time. And if I'm a machinist, I would want to know that too.
Yeah.
I would want to know if something went down and why it happened. How long did it take me to take a scrap bin and roll it across the machine shop, because you guys continue to expand, by the way. Last time I was here, there was maybe 1 or 2 buildings. Now I feel like there's 5 or 6 buildings. So congratulations on the expansion, but maybe I have to take something further to reach a colleague or whatever it might be. If I'm a machinist, this is also something I want to know.
Yeah. The machinist, it's funny. Some people could care less to see the data. Some machinists, they're racing themselves. They're like, hey, this is the numbers I got from this run. Let's see if I can do that a little bit quicker and still make a good part. And it's always interesting to see how they kind of interact and use the different bits of data.
Yeah, Kyle, here at Flyins S, I look at all the Mat Sirs, the growth. There was really only 1 or 2 when I was here a couple of years ago. So congratulations on the growth. All these blue machines. I see a couple of bigger ones, some of the MAM 72s. And you have several of those. I see the smaller one that we started, MX 850 we see here. So I know part sizes are varying. I bring that up because we're going to step into another area of your shop that's fairly new that has some massive parts with massive cycle times, because here, the MAM do have some pretty good parts that might run several hours at a time. The smaller ones that are running over here, maybe just, half hour, hour and a half, that type of thing. But when we get into potentially days or even a week's time of machining, now we're taking data to a completely different world of conversation, aren't we?
Yep. You have, your small parts, your medium-sized parts, your large parts. They all use that data differently. And, the bigger it gets, the more complex it gets, the more those numbers really start to matter.
And as data nerds, we like to know that information. Let's get on over there, buddy.
Sounds great.
Here, we had to do this a little bit, right? These are new, sexy machines. They're making massive parts. We love talking about data. Of course, you and I are both nerds when it comes to that. But I also nerd out a little bit about machining. I definitely do. I love it. These machines, I don't know the actual cycle times, but they're a lot longer than some of those smaller pallet chains. This we know. When it comes to gathering data on longer cycle runs, what are you looking for here?
Yeah, so immediately, right, the on-off of the machine and did it stop for an unknown reason comes straight to mind, right? Yeah. Some cycle times for these are taking days. We're now on the 24-hour scale, not the when people are here scale. Did we break a tool? Did it stop? Did it alarm out? These are all things that, people need to monitor sometimes to keep schedules and want to monitor just to keep things moving along. So
I've had conversations similar to this. Datanomix has so many successful customers out there, and we're really grateful that Flyins S, with all your secrets, have allowed us to come film in here again. Thank you for that respect to allow myself and MTD to come in. But when I get into the topic of these long runs, I've heard people a lot smarter than me, Kyle, I promise you, describe things like we have 20 tools on a 24-hour run, but only 2 of them are about 80% of my cycle time that are running the whole time. So we take the data and the information, maybe put a redundant tool in it, and figure out how to take the 80% of the cycle time out of the 2 tools of the 20 tools and reduce that to overall reduce the actual runtime. Do you do things like that, or am I just kind of getting excited about possibilities at this point?
Yeah, right. That's kind of the next phase of this. Some of these, this is relatively new to us, these big machines in this big building. But, right, you're talking optimization. Those are the things we'd want to know next, right? We've made a few good parts now. Can we see how much some of these tools are running during our program? Yeah, Datanomix makes it super easy. Like a few button clicks. Here's a nice graph that shows you these 2 tools run this much in your program. Let's start there. Can we optimize some of those paths? Can we, what can we do? Can we improve tool life so that maybe we don't have to change those out? Maybe we need to know when to change those out now because we're running for so long. So
I think about us both being kind of data nerds, and I'm happy and proud to admit that for everyone out there. I love data. I love information. I love analytics. I love figuring out how to do things better, faster. Customers are important. So knowing that we are kind of both data nerds, right? It's probably more of a theoretical question, as some aspects of these bigger machines you're still learning about, and some of the other areas, you're figuring it out, using that as strategy. My theoretical idea is, how much information do you think you've gained, or how much do you think you assumed previously before really knowing the truth as you dive more and more into these strategies?
Yeah, like you're saying, we've kind of had a mindset change there, right? It used to be, what do you guys think? Let's bring in a few different people. What do you guys think? What do you guys feel? Can we collect some data from some of our other programs to help back that up? Now it's like, hey, first question is, hey, can Datanomix tell us this thing? Is it just that simple? And some of the times, yeah, sometimes it is. So it's great to now have that tool to be able to justify and back up some of those ideas or questions that pop up.
I heard a rumor, Kyle, and you can confirm or deny, it's totally up to you, but I heard a rumor that you guys were a year in with Datanomix and you were getting ready to have a meeting about, should we do this? Could we continue with Datanomix, right? And you walked in with a whole bunch of data from out of what seemingly was nowhere, and you sat down and just laid it all out, all the information you were gathering. Is this a true story? So you are really being successful with the Datanomix technology.
Yeah. We sat down, we kind of met a lot of the management team. Hey, let's go over some of this from the 30,000 foot view. Let's look at some of this. We look at Datanomix. Datanomix has a nice user interface. Here's some of kind of the higher level stuff. But, here's all the spreadsheets, all the numbers. Here, what do you guys think? What are the questions that you guys think we could use some of this data for? We generated some of that. We got to see some of the numbers. Several people's ideas were kind of, or assumptions were kind of changed. Like, oh yeah, I can see that now that we have this graph. And so other ideas and such were confirmed. So,
Exactly why I like data. Thank you for saying that.
Exactly.
When everyone, I see. Okay. That was my assumption, but now I can see it actually the data being gathered. So I want to wrap all of this up, Kyle. I know how much you love the camera, but we're going to wrap this up despite how much longer you want to be on here and ask you about integration, right? Okay. We've discussed the users on the floor utilizing it, maybe getting better or figuring out some of the questions they might have. We looked at a 20,000, 30,000 foot of management saying this is what we can look at, machines on and off, why we want to use it more, what strategies can we implement to really improve. We understand that this is one of those NDA type places where we got to sign it in order to even get in here because of some of the complicated parts that you're making and how important it is to have data in order to maybe understand exactly how to continually doing better, especially when you're doing a lot of one-offs, right?
Yep.
So integration, it can't take a year and a half in order to implement. We got to know information pretty quickly, and we need to know what's going on in our shop. Was this complicated? Was it easy? And tell me about customer service if there was a question or if something was missing from the software.
Yeah, right. All great questions. Datanomix is honestly the easiest software company I've ever had to work with. Integration, super easy. It was simple. Kind of the only directive I sort of had from other people was, hey, we don't really want to be spending a lot of other people's time with this. If an operator has to put in a ton of data, that's not real. We're not really getting the benefit of that. We are getting the data, but now he's also spending time. So Datanomix collects this all kind of through the controller with a simple Ethernet port. And they had other options. We could have went wireless. They had all the documentation. When we had questions to their support team, they were answering. When we were trying to learn the program, hey, can it do this? Here's kind of the information I'm looking for. They were quick on the response. We were able to hook up to all our machines. We've seen the Matsuras, we've seen the Kenichis now. We have Haas machines as well. We have older ones, we have newer ones. Super easy. They had answers, and if they didn't have answers, they were super willing and easy to work with to, solve that and get it solved.
Kyle, you have been amazing today. Thank you for hopping on camera with me.
Yeah,
I've mentioned several times about all this kind of secret components you guys make. So we're going to turn the cameras off now, and you and I are going to go look at some and continue to make all the audience jealous right now because you have some of the most outstanding parts. Kudos to Flyins S, the continued growth and expansion, the investment in machines, and the future of their technology. This is one of those companies you must look into if you're looking for high-quality parts that need to be made in just about any facet. But when we're looking at aerospace, that's something that stands out. This is my buddy Kyle. They actually have the data now collected to make sure that they can share anything that's needed. And certainly the strategies here being implemented day in and day out. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you again soon.